So wait, you're saying you had people throw stuff at you on stage?
Oh, yeah. Well, not lots, but people throw things for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Like what?
probably the worst one ever was we were on tour. Clowns were on tour. Our van had blown up the night before in New Mexico.
Engine?
Yeah, it needed oil or something. It blew up. It was a rental. We rented a van for this tour. It was before we owned one. And so it was kind of cool because they were kind of nice vans and they were going to swap it out, but they were in New York. And so they're going to have to bring one out. So they hooked us up with a box truck, like just a moving truck.
Yeah.
So we drive that into this gig in Arizona, in Phoenix. And we get to this bar. We're loading in the afternoon, and it's not a rock and roll. It's like a military hangout. It's like all military dudes drinking, and all the tables had all these pyramids, beer can pyramids. Like they were just drinking and
Doesn't seem like there was a lot to do in that town.
Well, mostly it seemed like they weren't there for the band. That's for sure.
I have in my mind like this bar that's in the desert, and like like you roll up and there's the local.
Yeah, a little bit like the Blues Brothers kind of vibe. Yeah, where they go to where are the Clowns for Progress. So, anyways, the place was packed. Before we go on, I go to the bass player, our bass player, Nutley LaRue, who was kind of a mild-mannered guy. He's from New York City and very mild-mannered Jewish guy. But out on the road, he'd put on the feather boas and he'd get a little Johnny Thunders vibe.
He had red hair too, right?
No, he had blonde hair.
Okay.
Coco was the red-haired guy.
Right.
He had a red-haired pompadour and, so I said to LaRue, tonight, man, let's hit him hard. Let's show him what's up. So we come right out of the gates, just blazing, and it's like you plugged him into the wall, and he went, "Gah!" And he ran out to the front of the stage, and he ran right up to these tables and started playing his bass at them and hitting the bass and all of their pyramids were just crashing down, and drinks were falling over on their chicks, and I was like, oh my God,
no.
And then he comes bouncing back up, and I was like, okay, maybe they're just maybe it's no big deal. It's rock and roll. No. Within 5-10 seconds, beer bottles are just whizzing, just smashing on the cement wall behind us. And I just looked at everyone. I was like, we ain't stopping. We ain't stopping. And we just kept going. And I was like, at any moment, it's happening. I'm just going to get one right in the head. But
did anybody get hit?
No, luckily. A lot of glass everywhere. But, in between songs, they would be like, and I would be like, what are they about? And we'd just go into the next one. I was like, maybe they're going to get over it. They never got over it. Bouncers had to come out and grab some of these guys and take them outside because they would just
kick them out.
And then at the end of the night, we go out in our box van. All the tires are slashed.
Oh, great.
Welcome to Phoenix. We definitely knew that we wanted a stage out here.
Yeah. I mean, you had been in bands, you were doing improv, stand-up. Like, we knew that we had to have a place for performances and things like that.
Yeah. It was just going to be vital that we had to allocate some space for it. Seemed like the perfect spot was right there by the container.
Yep.
I wanted to make it pretty big. I knew it. I wanted it pretty big.
But we didn't want it too big because, then you don't have that intimate kind of
right.
feeling.
If it's a small thing, then you got too much stage. But you don't want too little stage because then, somebody's like playing in the yard or falling off the stage or whatever.
Have you ever fallen off a stage?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can fall off a stage easy.
Really?
Yeah. Well, stages they can be lit. You can have a lot of light in your face so you don't even know what's up. I don't know if I've fallen. I mean, yes, I have fallen off a stage. We were on tour. The Clowns were on tour, and we were in Boise, Idaho, and I didn't even know it. The front of the stage, they had a bunch of tables in front of the stage, and they'd put monitors on it.
Oh.
Because they didn't have a big stage, and they were trying to give the performers more stage.
Much room.
But then once the lights are on, and you don't know that's not stage there. So
man.
We always ended our show with for a while, it was Elvis Presley's Suspicious Minds, you know, and I take the guitar off and we do a whole cold and try, and you know, and it gets going, it gets trucking, and then there's a breakdown. You know, it's like, oh, let our love survive. And I'd walked out onto these tables thinking it was the stage, and they weren't regular tables. They were like bar tables that just have one pole in the middle, so they went goink, and then I like smacked into the monitor. The monitors landed on me. I'm in a pile of tables, and the show must go on. You don't get to stop just because you're like,
because you're on the ground.
Yeah, oh my God. And you know, when you just like, my shin was bleeding, you hit your shin and the wood, unforgiving wood. I'm like, ugh. But luckily it really was like, you know, it's the emotive breakdown. Let your love survive. Wipe the tears from your eyes, girl.
And you were in clown makeup. Like,
we are at this band. We're in clown makeup, vintage white tuxedos, pompadours.
Oh, man.
I'm clawing my way back onto the stage, rolling over
mid-song.
And then, you know, baby, back into it, showbiz. And it was funny because we were actually opening for Dred Zeppelin. And so I thought it would be a funny segue to, you know, go into that. And they all came over. We talked to them. They're like, dude, that was fire. That was killer. And like, man, you look like you really hurt yourself. I was like, no, that was all. Nah, I'm fine. I had landed so hard. I think I remember a ring fell off my hand. Oh, no. I was like, nah, it's all part of the show. But yeah, you can falling off a stage is easy to do. I've seen people walk off stages that they just thought there was stage there. And wing. So,
well, normally people are like launch themselves and crowd surf off.
Oh yeah. No, I wasn't doing that. I was just trying to bring a little king to the people, but. But you know, I wanted to have some scripted stuff too, so I wanted it to be pretty big and, you know, maybe some improv.
Well, and at that time you were doing, when I met you, you were really into the improv. And
I was still super, I had time to do it. Yeah,
and you were also doing Batman specifically.
I was doing Batman when I met you?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was the end of Batman.
It was. I only caught one show of Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin was one of the best. That was a super highlight. I mean, the Austin improv scene is just epic. They do, you know, these theaters will do these main stage shows that are themed. There's like Improvised Noir that I did and Improvised 50s TV shows. And then this Batman thing came along because I do a pretty good Adam West impersonation, and
he's the best Batman, I think.
He's my favorite Batman, and this woman, this girl Casey Beeler, loved Batman and Robin too, the '60s one, and so when she found out that we were doing it, we were riffing one time doing that, and then she's like, "We got to do Batman and Robin," and she got the Hideout to, you know, approve it. We're going to do this whole show. They did the costumes.
That's awesome.
It was so much fun. And, you know, you find out really quick that you can do anything if you're in a Batman suit.
That character.
That Batman too. The Adam West Batman. We wanted to take some photos one day out in front of the Hideout on Congress.
In front of the Capitol.
Yeah, because the Capitol has that, you know, it's the long shot.
It's iconic, yeah.
And everybody wants that shot, and it's like, it's hard to get because there's traffic, and I was just like, all right, guys. I just walked down the street. I was like, citizens, we're going to need you to stop your cars. We've got to fight crime. And Robin, and then she comes, we just do the
bounces
whole bit,
out,
and we're just posing and doing the things. I was like, thank you, everybody. Gotham will be a safer place. Everybody's right on, Batman. Right on, man. What's up, Robin? And I was like, dude, you can do it. I used to once in a while, I would put the outfit on and ride my motorcycle from South Austin up to the theater. And Austin's people don't even freak out. They just look, hey, Batman, what's up? I was like, what's up, guys? Hope we're not getting into trouble. No, Batman. Just hanging out, man. Just riding on my motorcycle. I loved it. It was so much fun. It really was.
Well, okay, so improv is a lot of fun, and comedy, adverse to that, is not so much fun. Well,
you know, the funny thing about improv is I'd come into it, I'd come into it having been on stage for many, many years, and I thought I was cocky. I was just like, oh, I've been on stage tons. There's no fear here,
right?
Because I remember early on there was a teacher. I took a class and they were like, the promise of improv is you'll be a fearless performer, and I was like, I love that. I was like, of course I am fearless already, but and I realized I was not. I was super not. And you go on stage with music and you got to have the lyrics. You get your little outfit. You got all your poses. You're trying to look cool. You're trying to be cool. You're trying to sing, and everything is very calculated. And when you do
that's
improv,
the rock star kind of feel.
Yes. Well, you sort of rehearse how you want to be perceived, and really to do improv, you have to just let it all go, or it won't work.
Right.
You can't be that guy who, because there are people like that, and it takes them a while sometimes.
It's not believable, I don't think, as being an improvised show.
Yeah. Well, I don't even mean rehearsing it. I just mean looking cool. It's like you're going to be endowed as, I mean, I remember I started doing improv with really as good as it got was with Jason Vines, and we would do improvised rock musicals.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, again, when he told me he was teaching a master class, and I had emailed him about, hey, man, I really want to get in your class. And he called me up. He's like, listen, dude, we're going to do a 2-man rock musical show.
Jason's awesome. He's a great guy.
And I was like, yeah, this is okay. All right. And dude, we would, for people who don't know, it's like improv shows, you take suggestions, you make up these stories, but then
you make up the songs.
And then on top of it, we would just burst into song. We had this incredible, there's a cast of characters of musical directors, but Ammon Taylor was really our favorite, and he was just brilliant. He would just and he could do, you didn't know where it was going.
Any
show
kind of
tunes,
music.
Blues, rock, everything. And we would just do these songs, but it's tricky.
I can't imagine it. I watched some of those shows too, and it looked rehearsed. Like it didn't look like something y'all were just coming up with on the spot.
Yeah, it really did sometimes, and he just he broke it down, the whole cool factor, because even though we were doing music, I remember one show we were doing, he all of a sudden he's in a bathroom and he's leaning against the wall and he's taking a leak, and I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing in here? And then he looks down and he starts talking to the urinal cake. Oh, no. And I was like, oh, I guess that's my yes and moment.
That's your cue to be.
I had to just respond. I'm the urinal cake. So that's that. Once you do that, once you've been that guy, it's just like whatever. Oh, you need me to introduce the president? Okay, give me the mic. Hello. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, he's a big deal. I've been a urinal cake. I'm not afraid of this. You guys don't scare me. It goes out the window. There's so many moments like that where you're just like, okay, I'm just going to be ridiculous. They're going to laugh at me. No one's laughing with you sometimes. Laughing at him. That's great. Yeah, it broke everything down, and really, improv really made it possible for me to do stand-up. I'd always wanted to try and do stand-up, and then...
But Joe Sib got you into that, right?
Joe Sib, always. Joe Sib got me to do this.
Joe Sib's the man.
Joe Sib is like, dude, you broke your ankle? Okay, how long are you going to be out? Like 6 months. Okay, dude, we're doing a podcast. All right? Okay. We couldn't sync it up with Zoom and our internet. Yeah. And he's like, okay, it's not going to work out for us. You and Sarah got to do it. Okay. You and Sarah got to do it. Okay.
We're going to have to put him in our credits.
Yeah. Oh, he's already told me. He's the executive producer. He's okay. I'm not on the show. I'm the producer. I need to see these episodes.
And he does stand up.
Yeah. Well, and I went on a surf trip with him, and he was like, dude, when you get back to Austin, promise me you're going to do stand up. And I was like, I'll do stand up. And so I did. And I'd go to open mics, and it was fun. It was work. It was hard work. You really had to, persevere. But like I said, it was just such a different, improv's like, hey, got your back. Everybody's hugging you. Got your back. I love
Team.
You.
Yeah.
It's not that in comedy,
No.
at least not here. It was just like everyone was guarded and weird, and what are you funny? And it's like, no, we're not in competition. It was just kind of, it was just no fun. You're a lone soldier. You're a lone wolf.
Yeah.
That's it.
It wasn't your thing.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be our thing, I don't think. I mean, we may have We may have other people. We may have comedians come.
I would love to have some comedians out here.
Yeah.
I'd love to. Brewer and Joe came out here, and I was just like, "Hey, Brewer, what do you think, buddy? You know, do this?" He's like, "Yeah, it's a little rustic, He's like, "Where are you going to put the chairs?" "Oh, they're going to be on the lawn." He's okay.
Yeah, in the orchard.
Yeah, call me when you know. Work on that furniture and the. No, he was cool. I think he could see it. I think he could squint his eyes and see him doing a special out here, but you know, it's a little rustic.
Yeah,
you know, it's not a club. You know.
No, but it has its own charm.
Yeah,
and it's perfect for what we need.
It is, and you know, I took all those things into consideration when we were, you know, planning the size of it, and you know, and I knew like, let's get it 27 feet, 22 feet deep. A nice big stage. We started
making building the deck. That was the first part. Yeah.
So we got that framework up pretty good. You had a cool little.
Well, we had a neat little cutout in the front of it. At one point, I think we had the idea of putting a fire there, but then realization dawned
and the roof would catch on fire.
Yes, so because we don't build small fires. We do big fires out here.
Well, I like the suggestion anyways because I just didn't want to make a rectangle. Yeah. I thought it'd be great to just have a little notch in the middle of it. But then as I was doing the roof, because you were...
I was working on a show.
Yeah. And so I did the roof, and it was like... That's like 105 every day.
Yeah, it was during the summer, for sure.
It was crazy town. I was in like long sleeve flannels and gloves because the tin was so hot to the touch. But I was looking down.
And it was one of the highest things. Like I think we had to buy a ladder just so that you could get up there.
Yeah, it's like 14 feet high. Luckily, I still had all these big cedar 6x6 like pillars.
And they really make the front of the stage majestic, and it looks like it's just epic. It
has a little amphitheater vibe.
Yes.
I think. Yeah, and we put the little buttresses up there.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
I like those.
It was really sharp. And as I was doing that roof, I looked down and I was like, you know, that cutout, like we were just saying, like I'd like to actually put a little raised platform there so that like one person.
It's the focal point.
Yeah.
It's like if we had a spotlight, which we don't, but that's where it would be, and then people would stand or person.
And what I really like too, though, is you can play out. But we've done a lot of events and workshops where where someone can speak to the group and we can have the chairs in the kind of a living room setting on the stage.
We've done a lot of workshops that way, and it's worked out great. I mean, the Shibari workshop.
Yeah,
we had someone strung up in rope in that area. That was pretty wild.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, that was a Knights Templar moment. It was
We've had a lot of workshops, actually.
Man, we did. Well, you did some bees.
I did a bee workshop, beekeeping.
Beeswax. Oh, candle making.
Yes, we've done some scavenger hunts and land energy.
Yep.
We've done yoga and sound bowls.
Yeah,
that was
and we did snake yoga.
We did snake yoga.
That was a big one.
That's a fun one. I like that one. I like snakes. But
and you're doing a broom making workshop this weekend.
Yeah. I'm going to pair up with Sister Wolf, who's an amazing broom maker, and we're going to do that.
That's going to be awesome.
It'll be great. The weather's perfect, mid-March or early March.
I think also, I think of all the things we do, I think we would agree that the best use is the Holiday Art Bazaar. We've done it
annually for 4 years now.
Yeah. And it's just so much fun. It's kind of like almost like our little holiday party out here. And it's... I kind of started I always liked the idea of having something like a Blue Genie thing that they do in Austin.
Blue Genie is a big
Blue Genie's
market.
huge, but I guess what I mean is by somewhere where you can go to get unique gifts, because I always relied on that, and then I just wanted to find somewhere else where you can find new artists that are making stuff that you can't find anywhere else.
Well, and that's why I liked it, because being from the art, well, I have a degree in art at least, so making stuff, making jewelry, making all that. I want to be able to have a place where other artists can come.
Yeah.
And they don't have to spend all this money on a booth fee.
Yeah.
They can still
we never charge anybody for
They can meet. It's more about meeting other artists, enjoying it. And I like to have a range of artistry. Like we had a metalsmith, we had a forger, we had, a ceramicist and different jewelry and herbology and
it's
all
been,
that kind of stuff.
It's just been
Clothing.
so great, and it keeps getting better and bigger every year. So I think that's sort of the coveted space too. That stage,
Yeah.
I feel like we need another.
I know.
small stage.
I think we fit three vendors on it last time, but yeah, it's epic. I just think it's perfect. Yeah.
Well, it's getting warm here in Austin.
Oh, crazy town! Just last week it was like 20 degrees.
I know. Only a couple weeks ago, we did the episode where we put hay on the orchard because it was like freezing, below freezing, and now summer's here. I've been skimming the pool.
No, I refuse to say summer is here. This is our spring. It just means that some days during spring we have highs of 80. You
Right.
know.
Well, the pool is going to be our next build on this show.
Yeah.
That was our next little thing. And again, that was Joe Sib. Joe Sib was out here one time. He's sitting at the bar. He's like, dude, I'm going to tell you right now, I would come out here as a vacation, okay? I would pay $1,000 to come out here for a weekend if I could drink a beer at this bar and run down and jump in a pool right there. I was like, really? He goes, yeah. I was like, all right, I'm going to build a pool.
And that year you did, I think.
You didn't like it that much, but
No, I was not that excited about an above ground pool because
Right.
all of my experience with them was not positive.
I know, but I was like, you're not going to see an above ground pool.
And you proved me wrong.
I did. And it's been such a great little,
Oh, it's amazing.
yeah. So
I can't imagine not having it now.
Oh, I know. Well, we got a little hot tub out there, a little plunge
Yeah.
pool.
A cabana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the next episode, Splishing and Splashing in the Pool.